Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Happy New Year. Our halls are undecked and you all made it through a lot. The holiday haze is clearing and now it's time to get organized for Valentine's Day. We have so much information coming your way today that we hope will give you some great practical tips and advice to help you through this super important holiday. Welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This is our first live virtual program for the year. Yay! And we're excited to dive in. Teleflora truly stands behind its commitment to florists, and programs like this are just one of the ways that we bring education to help grow the industry. This has been a challenging couple of years, but we want you to know that we're with you.
Not yet.
I think I've met most of you before, at least virtually, but for those of you who I haven't, my name is Lottie McKinnon, and I'm Program Director of Industry Relations and Education and your host for today's program. Before we get going, I have a few shout outs and housekeeping items. This program is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, Teleflora Design Education. Please subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications of our latest programs and classes, and you can check out our library of past shows over the last couple of years. While we're talking about social media, please do follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We always post information about upcoming shows and classes and some fun competitions and info. This program, for the first time ever, is also being offered in Spanish. Thank you to our amazing colleague, Maria Melendez. If you would like to listen to the Spanish translation, please click the little interpretation logo in your Zoom controls. Also, during this program, we're going to keep the chat open so that we can share some excellent resources with you. If you have questions, please put them into the little Q&A function in Zoom. We'll do our very best to get to as many of your questions as possible. We have a ton of information to cover today, so if we don't get to your question, don't worry. We'll reach out to you directly after the show. We have 3 members of our education specialist team presenting today's program. Welcome Joyce Mason-Monheim, Helen Miller, and Renee Tucci. This team is a powerhouse of talent and mentorship, and I guarantee that by the end of today's program, you will take away plenty of tips that you can use in your shop right away. And we have a very special guest today, our very own Senior Vice President of Membership Services, Michael Martin. And Michael's going to share some industry updates and will also be available for questions later on. So Michael, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lottie. And welcome everyone. Happy New Year. And I want to give an additional thank you to the different presenters that'll be coming up in the next hour. So Joyce and Helen and Renee, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you all on the team. And then thanks to Lottie and Tim for supporting all of our efforts in education. And a special thank you to Maria, who's doing the translation for us. I'm super excited about that. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this. And I love the fact that we're continuing to lead the industry in education for florists. So thank you all so much. Most importantly, thank you to all florists who are attending today. Without you, we couldn't do anything that we do. And we love your support, your engagement, and your commitment and your connection with us more than anything. So thank you so much. And welcome to 2022. So 2021 was a very weird and challenging year, yet very successful for Teleflora, and I think very successful for many of the retail florists that were out there. It created a huge dynamic of challenges and opportunities for florists. And I think as an industry, we really thrived and we rose to the challenge and we're all successful. I know that there's still a lot of labor challenges for florists. I know delivery and fuel prices are challenging, but by and large, I've seen across the industry, florists do very, very well. Consumer demand stay very, very high, and florists have a very profitable 2021, which is super exciting. Christmas was no different. It was a great holiday for the industry and for Teleflora. I've heard from many florists that they're sold out of inventory, that they're replenishing their closets, and then they're getting ready for a very busy Valentine's Day that's coming right around the corner. one of the key questions many people ask is about the supply chain and how that happened over Christmas and how that's going to impact us over Valentine's Day. Christmas was a huge challenge. I'd never been in the industry for 21 years, never seen anything like what we saw for Christmas holidays related to supply chain at the ports and the trains and the shipping companies and in China. It was really just a mess. It all ended up kind of okay. I mean, there were a lot of florists who were impacted at the last minute, and we got a lot of product out later than what we would have liked, but we had all hands on deck trying to ship the best we could. It's one of those weird challenges where we have limited control and limited visibility, and we're really at the hands of what the port can and can't do and what the trains can and can't do. But I think we survived it really well, and from what I've heard, the florist had a really successful Christmas. We are seeing the supply chain issues ease up for Valentine's Day, which is really good and a positive sign for things to come. We have a huge shipment of Valentine's Day product that will be leaving our warehouses tomorrow and heading to florists. So that's a good sign. We haven't seen any additional delays in product coming in. However, it's very fluid and it changes every day. So we're watching it closely. We're watching it every day, and we're going to do everything in our power to get all the Valentine's Day product out to florists ASAP. But florists who have ordered will start to see stuff come in early next week, and I think that they'll feel a lot better once they start to put Valentine's Day product on the shelves. So that's a really good sign. Speaking of Valentine's Day, it's a Monday this year. We have really high expectations for a high volume holiday. And the one thing that's been true really every holiday that I've seen is florists can always just buy more. I know you're taxed with labor and with your operations, but from everything that I've seen, there's more volume during the holidays than florists have the capacity to undertake. So if you can buy an extra box of roses or an extra box of vases and be prepared for the 14th and the days leading up to the 14th, then that's a great time to grab incremental revenue and incremental profit. So we're super excited about what's to come. That's really the only updates that I have. We feel good about flowers. We feel good about what's happening at the farm level, the supply chain and logistics for the wholesale side of the business. And we feel really good about florist capacity and their ability to deliver great, beautiful quality products, which you all do every single year at every single holiday without question. So thank you so much. I really encourage you to ask any questions that you have, and we'll do our best to get to all of them, either on the call today or after the call when we can get to it all. So thank you again, and I'll turn it back over to Lottie, and enjoy the next hour or so of design education. Thank you so much, and once again, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Michael. Fantastic news. Thank you. I am now going to turn it over to our incredible first of our three amazing ladies today, Renee, Tucci, AIFD. Over to you.
Hello, Happy New Year, everyone. I've been hibernating for a few weeks, and I just feel like I am with people here tonight, and I'm really excited about that. I'm hugging you all. Thanks to Tim and Lottie for asking me to be part of this incredible panel with Helen and Joyce. Thanks to Michael for that update, and to Maria for bringing us to an Espanol. I'm really excited about that. So what am I here to talk about tonight? Well, Tim and Lottie asked me to talk about staff morale and how to prep your staff to have a really positive experience coming into Valentine's Day. And I did about 10 years of managing some pretty busy retail departments, and focusing on staff morale and building a team was my favorite part, because it's what makes everything gel. It's really what's so important and what carries us through each day. So I'm really passionate about the topic. So I have a few tips of what I'd like to encourage you to think about. Now, first of all, I should say that most of what I'm about to say is directed to owners. And I know that we have a lot of designers that are employees on this call, but stick with me because we've got some other things to talk about and some fun things to show you. But from an owner's perspective, first off, I'd like to recommend that you listen to the Business and Pleasure of Flowers podcast. by my friends Vonda Lefevre and Lori Wilson. Vonda, of course, on the education team with Teleflora. And they do such a great podcast every week, lots of great business tips. But I specifically recommend you listening to the episode that was 2 Tuesdays ago. The title as it is Avoiding the Great Resignation. And it talks about that you should take the chance now. Now is the time to have a stay interview with your employees. Of course, you have a hiring interview and an exit interview, but have a chat with your staff and be really honest and open and hear what they have to say and find out what's working well and find out what you can maybe adjust to make sure that everyone is happy and that you are happy and that everyone's being clear with their expectation. That's really the crux of doing good business is transparency. Which leads me to the next step, being transparent with your staff. I think that goes a long way with keeping morale high. If you're able to, from a big picture standpoint, now don't go sharing like your bank account balance, but from a big picture standpoint, if you're able to be vulnerable and share some of the things that you're struggling with and also some of your wins, I think you're really going to gain some respect from your team rather than just shutting everything off and not sharing things that are happening that could affect them and the business that they do. Some other tips I have to keep team morale up. Of course, we have to talk about treats. Treats are my favorite thing. So when we talk about treats, food is right up there, right? I mean, we've got flowers, we've got food. Sometimes it's one or the other. It's tough to keep up because we love food so much. But now's the time to order your catering, pre-order all the things you're going to need for that week. Have a food truck, schedule a food truck to come one day, have a bagel tray come for lunch. You know when you might at least be there through dinner, if not a late night. So go ahead and pre-order some nice catering dinner. Perhaps maybe one time I booked a masseuse to come and do an on-site massage, 10-minute or 20-minute chair massage for everyone a day or two before Valentine's Day. Of course, a nail gift certificate is always a great gift, right? Because we damage our hands so much. It's really nice to rejuvenate our nails. I've sent in a few links that I think Lottie and Jenny are going to share with you guys. Some gifts go along with treats, and these could be before the holiday. They could be after the holiday as appreciation gifts. They could be, I used to leave little treats on the desk of each of my staff during the week of a holiday, just to have them have something nice that starts their day. One of my recommendations is enamel pins. They are so on trend right now. So here is one of my favorites. Of course, it's yellow. So those enamel pins make great gifts. There's a company nearby to me, a small business that I'd like to support called Belovely, and they do punny stickers and apparel, shirts that say things like, "What incarnation?" I mean, it's a riot. I love it. And they're just such great little gifts. There's also, I think I sent in a link for a little tool bag that has all kinds of florist tools on it from Etsy. It's super cute. It would make a great gift. Stealing a few tips from Retail Florist magazine from December of 2021. How about hiring a cleanup crew specifically for the week? Now, I know staffing challenges are everywhere, but perhaps you can find some teenagers or some friends who will come in just for the week, just to give everybody a little bit of a break, just to help keep things moving along in a support role. Maybe get creative with your scheduling. We're all struggling with work-life balance, and work is life now. And so perhaps split schedules or starting later, starting earlier, those things might actually work for you, things that you wouldn't have thought about before, but we're in a new day and age now. And so they may actually work for you and your employees as well. Trust your team, encourage creativity, delegate. All of those things will show your staff that you really respect them. It's going to make them happier and overall bring up the great vibes, those good vibes of your team. And then, of course, you could always consider a post-holiday bonus. That everyone loves that. It could be a surprise, something that you surprise them with afterwards, or perhaps tell them about it beforehand and say, look, this is something I really want to do, but we have to do well. So that might be some encouragement for them. And then my last suggestion I might have already said last, but I have one more, and that's to gamify the holiday. Now, gamify is an actual word that people are using because people love to turn everyday tasks into games now. It helps with our attention span. So you should be having a meeting with your staff very soon to let them know your expectations of the holiday, what you want them to sell, all of those things. And perhaps during that meeting, you give them this bingo card. I made a Valentine's bingo card and I sent the card in to Lottie to share with you guys. And I also sent her the link if you don't like mine and you want to make your own. But basically the bingo card is filled with questions that customers might ask you. So all of your team members that are customer facing on the phone in person, they should get one of these cards. And when one of those customers asks these questions, they can tick it off. And of course, when they get bingo or Cupid, maybe they could get a little treat or a few dollars or something like that. But what's in these spots, not only, there are some silly ones like, can you please make it pretty? Right? We hear that all the time and that's pretty silly. But there's also some serious ones like, how much for 100 roses? You know, you will get people that ask that. Or I'm on your website right now and I'm seeing this. Well, we all know right now that there are lots of websites out there masquerading as ours, but they're really not ours. So this gives you a chance to show your staff what your customers should be seeing on the website and help them listen and quickly know you're not actually on the right website. Let's go to the correct one and I can direct you to what you want to buy. Another space, can I tip the driver? How awesome is it that now through the ESAT you can have an add-on as a tip for the driver? That's a box on the bingo card. And then of course, why are flowers so expensive? We get asked that every year, but of this year, it's going to be probably a very commonly asked question. So having a meeting with your staff, going over that and some of the other topics on this card will help you prep them all so that they're prepared and ready to have a really successful Valentine's Day for you and for everyone else, because everyone wants to get done, be efficient, go home and put their feet up. So for the employees on this call, the non-owners, I just recommend that you try to stay positive. It's not always easy, but just one person in the room having a down day can really change the whole vibe. So just try to stay positive. I'm going to be your Cupid Valentine cheerleader over here, cheering you all on. But I hope you enjoyed or took some tips from that little chat, and good luck on the bingo cards. Lottie, back to you.
Thank you, Renee. Great advice. I love it. And I actually put in a PDF of your amazing bingo card. I've already had fun with that. And also we put a couple of links in the chat. So feel free to download those. The files are safe. And don't worry, we're not going to harvest information and sell it to anybody else. So with that said, Helen, over to you.
Thanks, Lottie, and Happy New Year's again to everyone.
Oh, Helen, you somehow got muted. We have to unmute you.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Oh.
There. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it. We can hear you.
Okay, great. All right. Well, there had to be a little glitch somewhere in the program. So we're not going to do that again. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you, Lottie and Tim, for asking me to be on this program with these other amazing women. And a little bit about myself. I've had a flower shop in Adrian, Michigan for 38 years and have done many, many Valentine's Days. So I hope that what I have to share is going to help you. I know there's a lot of new people in the industry coming in, and you know, anytime we can review, maybe you know some of this information already, but anytime we can review, I think it's always good. So Tim and Lottie asked me to talk about planning ahead, timelines, and then trends for Valentine's Day. And timelines for me are so important in planning ahead. And that's the key to this holiday. And I'd like to share with you possibly a couple things that I do. The very first thing that I do is to take notes. So every year, and I know that some of the new people in the industry may not have notes, but this is a lifesaver because after each holiday, you are just overwhelmed. And if you don't take good notes, then the following you're not going to remember. It's always good to put down the year, or the year for sure, but the date that that it fell on, what day it fell on, maybe the weather conditions, how many drivers did you have to have, how many deliveries did you have for each day, what was the average price points for those arrangements that you made, what was best sellers, what did you have left over at the end? And then, you know, even like Renee was saying, little treats. So, you know, down in my notes, well, you know, we had, you know, one day from the caterer, or we had, you know, Bob Evans come in. I mean, things like that, even the change that I needed for that holiday weekend, just to get me through, so that I'm not constantly running to the bank to get change for different things. So that is a huge, huge help. One of the other things that I do after I've done my pre-booking, and that is a must. If you haven't your pre-booking yet for your flowers, please, please get it done, because as Michael said, things are, you know, the supply chain is opening up, but there still is some glitches, and it's really important to get your orders in early so the wholesalers and the growers know what they have and what's available for sale. The other thing that I do after I've got my pre-ordering done is for each wholesaler, I write up a sheet of everything that's coming in and the day that it's coming in. And this goes to my processing area. And that way, as things come in, they can check them off because of the shipping delays. Not everything is going to come up on the day that you ordered it. So it's so important that they can check it off so that you're getting the products that you were counting on, and that you know what you were charged for. And, you know, if it didn't show up, you still have time to call them and try to get that product in, or call another wholesaler. And another thing I wanted just to mention that maybe for fill-in, that Flower Buyer is always available, and they have wonderful products, and their shipping is pretty quick. So that might be another option for you. And so make sure you check out their auctions. It's actually kind of fun. I enjoy it. And then after the holiday, and I know I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I give every one of my employees this holiday summary sheet, and they can write down, you know, maybe the delivery drivers had glitches with the vehicle, or, you know, they didn't have enough not home tags, or maybe I process new cutters, or, you know, maybe extra help in that area on certain days when product was coming in really heavily. So everybody fills one out and it goes back to me, and it goes in my holiday notes. And that is so helpful because I'm covering every area of my business, and it just makes things run so much smoother. The design staff may say, oh, the specials were, you know, harder to make, and we need to simplify things like that. So I can't tell you how important this step is. So all of you that are new to the industry, please take note of that. The next thing that I would do is create recipes. So I make the optimum time to do this would be during Christmas, or before Christmas. And that is so important because you could get Christmas special recipes done and your Valentine's Day, because they all pretty much use red, pink, flowers, white. And you can make both of them at the same time. Write your recipes down, photograph everything, so that when it comes after Christmas and we're all tired and we're trying to get inventory done and try to put things away and clean up, you've already have a step ahead. You're that much quicker and closer to getting your Valentine's Day offerings up on your website. So getting your recipes done. We and kind of old school too. I don't have computers next to each of my design stations, so my designers don't have to keep going to the computer, which is across the room. We print off all the recipes and pictures of every one of them, and they have the name, and they also have the product code that's in our computer, so that when we're ringing them up, that we can put that in, and we know exactly how many we sold for that holiday. So that's really helpful in your POS system to put those codes in there. But making this up, having it at your station, a lot of times we'll just throw them in one of the file folders, the little plastic ones that you put your reports in, and just staple them together. And that way, if they get wet back at the design center, nobody loses looses them and they stay nice. But it's a real time saver. Make sure you put the year on there so you know what year it is. And a lot of the specials that we make, we ended up keeping up on our website all year round. So that's kind of nice too, because they were such great sellers. So it's kind of a win-win too. And then trends for arrangements. Well, we all know that time is of the essence, and it's hard to get everything done when you've got all the product coming in fresh flower, trying to get those processed, getting all your containers prepped, and then doing the design. So it has to be something that's going to be easier to do. So I want to show you a couple ideas. And this is an old design. It's not anything that I came up with, and I'm sure that you've all done it. We do it at Christmas, we do it Valentine's Day, birthdays. But how pretty. This is a monobotanical, which means all one color, all one flower. I just took a cube, and I love colored glass. That's probably my favorite. Just because, you know, when you're using leather leaf and it has those little hairs on the stem, and sometimes they float off and they go to the bottom of your container, and there's nothing wrong with the water. It's got floral preservatives, but you'd have to dump it just to get all those cleared out. Colored glass, you don't have to. Now, you don't want big chunks of foliage or anything there, but keeping that clear, or keeping the color glass, you don't have to change the water quite as often. So I just took the ribbon and tied it across there just once, and then you take and make your bow ahead. And wire grip works the best, and you just tie this on here with a little bit of the bind wire. And then that creates a grid for you to put your flowers in. So it's really quick and easy and super simple. And these can be done way in advance. You want to prep any of your containers, and if you're going to do a treatment on in advance. This is another monobotanical one. And this one, I would go ahead and get this all prepped in advance. And carnations, super long lasting. This is a type of a philodendron foliage. And I'm a big advocate of keeping plants on hand that I can cut off of. For you charge for it, well, you get the plant in, but you charge each time that you cut a leaf off. So actually it's really economical to do it that way. And then just taking the two anthurium and tying them together. And I actually just did if I can get it here, an air taping. So you just take a piece of tape and twist it in your hand, and it makes like a little cording the tape onto itself. So you don't have to worry, there's no wire in it. And you just go around your flowers. And I did wire these anthuriums so that they would hold and not wiggle around. And that's all you do. But real simple, long-lasting flowers. This is in foam. I did not do that in water, but really simple. And then trends I wanted to talk about. Also, anything with a heart in it sells out the door. Heart ribbon, heart picks, anything like that. But in your product gallery for Teleflora, I love this. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but I look at it all the time. Teleflora goes through a lot of time checking trends and researching all of this. That's how they come up with these beautiful Teleflora containers. But on the side here, they have a trend report, and it actually has a palette here, and you can look at that. So if you're ever trying to find new trends or new palettes to work with, then this would be a really great resource to check out. And it kind of tells where the trend came from as well. So if you haven't noticed that before, check it out here. And that's actually up with this palette. And this is the ombre vase from Teleflora from last year. But just adding some of the tropicals in with the temperate flowers, I think is really beautiful. And Austrameria, my clientele likes Austrameria because it lasts. So I always like to add that and some filler flowers. And then just a punch of this berry color, I think just brings us. So try some different color palettes and see if that goes well. And look back at your records that you've taken. What sold the best? For me, a staple here are sunflowers. So sunflowers are something that we keep on hand all the time, and people love them. They just make them feel good, happy. And this one is kind of like the weddings that we had this year, where they were very kind of weedy and natural looking, and then in the galvanized container, at least in my area. I know this is all over the world that we're broadcasting, which is amazing. But this is something that I think is really beautiful, and it kind of transcends with all generations. So if you have customers that really love sunflowers, this might be a nice collection for you. And again, you can always, tuck in a little heart if they so want it, just to bring in that Valentine Day flair with it. So make sure you're looking at what you sell on a regular basis. Another color tone that we sell a lot of is lavenders and purples. I would say that at Valentine's Day, this is probably the number 2 thing that's requested. And a lot of times they want something that's very long lasting. So the cremones, daisies, austromerias, there are some tulips in there. They aren't quite open yet. But again, doing it in a colored ink just gives it a beautiful look, and it really enhances all the shades that we have in this bouquet. And then just to pump it up a little bit, and some of you I know probably aren't ribbon people, but in my area, they do like it. Just gonna tuck that in the top here and add it into the arrangement. This gives it more of a romantic flair. And again, lavender is a big seller. So if you want to try something a little different, maybe this might work for your shop. And I really quickly, time saver, I just wanted to show you this because I love it. And it's probably one of my new favorite things. This is a DIY flower grid. And how I did that particular piece is I just set this. It has 2 pieces. And one side has a little ridge, and then there's these slots, and you just set it over that, set it over your vase, so you're not gridding your containers. If you're used to gridding your containers, please continue to do that, or lacing, and it's kind of what this does. It holds everything into place. You're just popping it through all those holes. I'm just going to do it real quick here. Just a few flowers. Of course, we would put more in here. And then you don't leave the plastic on, pull it out, and it holds all the flowers. If you're interested, I can let Lottie know where you can purchase. They're amazing. It saves a ton of time, and I really using them. It takes much less time for gridding it. So you might try that one as well. Something new. And the last thing that I want to show you is another monofloral bouquet. And sometimes we get in tulips that are kind of this stage, and I think people maybe think that they're too far gone or that they're not going to last a long time. And these actually have been sitting for a couple of days. White is a big seller for me as well. I think it's just elegant, and it just sets the tone of something really beautiful. But these are the tulips here, and it's something coming forward in wedding work, and I just thought it was beautiful in this design. It really fills up the space. And I'm going to pull this back, just pull the petals back. You cannot do this with really tight tulips because you'll break them, and they need to be at room temperature. We're going to just pop them back, and then you have this beautiful full tulip. And the last thing that I want to talk about really quickly is your store display. I think sometimes we get so busy that we forget what the front of our store looks like, because it's the first thing that greets people. So I would invite you all to go outside of your door. Right now it's freezing outside my door. Really cold here in Michigan. but go outside your door, come back into your store and look around and see what the customer is seeing. I think that's so important for their first impression. Do you have things easy to get to? Is there signage in your cooler of prices? Is everything organized by color? Run through your cooler first thing in the morning each holiday and make sure that it looks great and that everything is, flowers aren't hanging out of the buckets, that everything is in its place. I love to color coordinate mine, so everything per color. So all my roses and astro and carnations are in the red and so on and so forth. So it's a beautiful presentation. So make sure you're looking at the surroundings and what your customer is going to see. Is there signage? Is your store clean? Is there arrangements in your cooler ready to go? I know that we're all going to have a great holiday. And Lottie, I think I'm going to run it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Helen. So much information to unpack there, but we are getting so many comments and questions about the grid. So please do, do you have that information handy?
Can I tell you really quickly? It's a company called 46, the number 46 and Spruce, like the pine, 46 and Spruce. And it's a website. Go there. And anyone who does have a sales tax license can go to the professional category and sign up. You need your sales tax license there, or number, and then sign up and you'll get it at wholesale cost. So they do have a retail section as well as a wholesale section. They're so nice to work with, so quick, so easy. And they're inexpensive, guys, so you can give them to each of your employees. I did that here and they all fell in love with them.
Awesome. Thank you. Quick and easy. Very important. I am going to turn it over to Joyce now, because Joyce is going to tackle a sometimes tricky subject. So over to you, Joyce.
Thank you, Lottie. So let's talk a little bit about the new standard of pricing. Pricing is different. It depends upon how you handle your customer service, because you could be a traditional florist, you could be a studio florist, you could be an e-commerce florist. So all of this is different. So pricing will vary because of each of these, and it's influenced by your overhead, its product prices, its markups, its cost of goods sold, its labor, its availability, and it comes down to your market. But as a business owner, you need to think of profitability as your number one priority. And as a designer, we always want to make the designs pretty, but we also have to remember that the profits are the most important thing for the success of our businesses. So we have to create designs that are pretty and also profitable. So pricing during these pandemic times has been kind of a challenge. And due to the pandemic flower availability and the supply chain issues, it's hard to get a grasp on pricing. So with the fresh flower pricing, what we see is that there's a lot of factors that are involved in that. So we need to pay attention to the price increases, the fluctuations, the substitutions, and as we talked about before, pre-ordering your product and making sure that you do that so that you make the costs ahead of time, so you have a little bit of control over what your pricing is going to be. So make sure that you're buying quality, high performance flowers. And when I say high performance flowers, I'm talking about products that are going to hold up. So with the pricing, you'll have to include the shipping costs, the box charges, the fuel charges, and now I'm seeing port charges that are being added to some of the things, and that's mainly hard goods, but you have to pay attention to what all those costs are because they add up really, really quickly. We also have to think about shrink and that shrink percentage, and it all, you need to pay attention to the current prices and not be afraid to charge according to your market. And sometimes we forget to do that. So thinking about what it's going to cost us in the long run, we have to make a profit on that and making sure. So the next thing that we did look at, along with pricing with our product, is also our labor. It's our second largest expense that we have. And labor costs are high due to inflation and staffing shortages and minimum wage increases and all these different things. So we need to look at the ways to make our staff effective and profitable by supporting your staff with some of the things that we're going to do. So I want to talk first of all about the sales staff and enhancing your current sales staff with all the tools necessary that will make them successful. Using, of course, your telefloor marketing kits where it comes with all your posters and menus and all of those things, but also, creating talking points for sales suggestions so that they're just not, so they have the right descriptions and they can talk to the consumer and tell them exactly what you have for sale. Think about setting up your areas and having that sales area ready for supplies, for packaging and wrapping, and making sure that everything is accessible and efficient. Have well-stocked shelves with holiday products, have shelves of plants and dish gardens with all the holiday themes, have gifts and prepackaged gifts and candies and goodie baskets and balloons, etc. All these things are going to make it, if they're visible, are going to make it easier for sales for your sales staff. And of course, productivity with that is going to be a lot better and pricing is going to be even more efficient. So focus on predetermined floral specials done with mixed color harmonies and seasonal products. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but you have to limit the choices your consumers are getting right now. And you have to be so generic that it's going to make our lives a little bit easier when you do that. So have these choices stockpiled and ready to pull for orders, being non-specific products with combinations of course, the Valentine colors, the pink and the reds, and with other colors. Another thing you could do is provide your sales staff, your assistants, with sales helpers, someone that could come in and help the sales staff focus on customer service. And these other helpers can help restock the shelves and the coolers and clean up and do all these things. It's kind of like hiring that cleanup crew that we talked about earlier. And they can allocate orders and products and they can assist wherever they're needed. But moving on to your design staff, it's about enhancing your current design staff with design with efficiency also. That helps with productivity and also help with pricing. So again, having your shelves well stocked and marked with everything that they use, well organized. And I have to go back to my college floriculture class, which was like a million years ago. But these three words have stuck with me all of these years. And it's kind of drilled into my subconscious, and it's time, efficiency, and motion. And these three words can be applied to every aspect of our retail shop, and thinking that we have to take the time to do the things, we have to be efficient about it, and we got to keep moving because that's what the holidays are all about. Another important step is to provide you that design assistant for each designer, just like we did with the sales crew. So thinking about increasing productivity, and it prioritizes the talent. So making sure that your designers are designing. So these runners can source products for the designers, they can assist the designers, and they can take designs away, etc. But it kind of frees up that designer to do just what they're specifically doing. And when you're creating your designs, first of all, you have to kind of determine what your current average price is and examine your market. And once you determine that, what will your market handle as far? Because prices are going up, they're not going down, so we're going to see increase all the way through. So don't overprice yourself, but you can't lose money either. So when you're creating these predetermined specials of color harmonies and seasonal products, do it with a little bit of flexibility. So that means by buying volume products that are a lower cost, so you can create different price points using the same products. So you're pricing your stems in categories will also help this instead of doing individual products. Like, for example, if you put your linear products like Snapdragons and Glads and Layatras, because the price point, they can all be interchanged in the design, you can put those in just the linear category. You can put filler flowers, as long as their price points are about the same in the filler flower category. So if you're out of a certain flower, then you go to the next one that's in that same category and not have to stop and think as a designer that we have to change the price, because you don't have to, because it's all on the same level. So think about the prices that speeds up productivity. You could go to even form flowers like iris and lilies, but you can also go to specialty flowers that may have multiple categories when you're pricing these out. So there's premium price. These could be like your orchids. They could be like your protea, anthurium, etc., being the premium price. And you could have a standard pricing for maybe roses, depending on what you're paying for roses and birds of paradise, etc. And then you can have the economy price, which would be like for chrysanthemums and carnations, etc. Everybody's going to be different depending upon what your price points are, but try to price in groupings instead of having to calculate each and every price each time you design. Another must that you have to do is make multiple designs at the same time. If you're going to make one, make 3 or 4. So if you have an order for a $75 arrangement, make 2 or 3, because it saves time and you'll have them ready for a sale later on. Creativity is important when it's important in our designing, but when it comes to holiday time, it has to be predetermined. So choose design styles that have more negative space for less product insertion, because that'll speed it up. Maybe include Valentine design enhancements that take up a lot of space. I call them my space hogs. Custom designs, if you're going to be doing custom designs, charge a higher percentage of labor to do these, because it takes more time to source your products and it takes more time to be creative. So if it's not pre-planned, it has to come out as a higher percentage of labor. Making your make calculations easier by having labor charts at every design station that you're doing. And as an independent retailer, you get to set your own prices. But the benchmark for labor charges is usually right around 35%. Again, you could be lower, it could be higher, it's up to you. But I kind of want to touch base a little bit on how you price your designs too. So just to reiterate, I know a lot of people probably already know this, but if you have a $200 to $100 arrangement, that's your total price that's you're making the design for, and you have to deduct everything from that, all of your costs of goods. That comes from your labor, your container, your floral products, and all of your supplies. So I'm going to just kind of give you an example, and I think Lottie, I sent you a little form that you can maybe pass out later on or have everybody have access to, just so they have this with them. But it's, if you have a $200 arrangement and you want to add a 35% labor charge, you have to multiply that by 0.35. So that equals $70. So deduct the $70 from the $200, that leaves you with $130. So that's what's left at a retail cost for fresh flowers and hard goods that you're going to include in your design. So an example of how to price for custom work for your clients, or something that you're going to be putting in the cooler, you price from the bottom up. So that was pricing down. Now you're going to price it up. So all your materials and your cost of goods, like your fresh flowers and hard goods, all of these are going into the design at a retail cost. And then let's just say it comes out to $100. And then you have to add your percentage of labor on top of that. So by adding that percentage of labor on top, you have to multiply that by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 35% is 0.65. So 0.65 is divided into, or $100 is divided by 0.65, which gives you a total of, hang on, let me get, it gives you the selling price of the design, which comes out to $153.85. So I would definitely probably round that up so that it comes out to about $155. But thinking about your pricing, it's very, very important that you look at that and that you pay attention to what the prices are, because they're changing on a daily basis, and that really helps you. I hope I provided some information for you, for all of you that need help with pricing. We want to succeed at our businesses, and profitability is the #1 key into achieving that. And I know next we have Renee coming up with some fun floral gift ideas. So Lottie, let's turn it over to Renee.
You said it all. Thank you so much, Joyce. So much information there, and we'll be posting some more updates in the chat. But with that, Renee, over to you.
Hi again, everyone. Good, I'm unmuted. Okay, so we're getting into some designs now, which is what you're all here for, right? When we were in the planning session for today's program, we were each assigned a different category of designs to create for you. And Lottie and Tim asked me to create arrangements that could be geared towards daughters, which is alternative. Of course, everyone knows roses and romance and all of that, but there are lots of other people that you can give flowers to on Valentine's Day as well. And I thought the daughter assignment was perfect because I've been a daughter all my life, so I can really speak to this topic. Now, I created 3 arrangements, and I sort of geared them towards 3 different age groups. So we're going to start with the young daughters. So this is maybe a youth, or maybe somebody who's just, kindergarten, something like that, who once they get the flowers, they can really get excited about them and appreciate them. And you'll see here that I have used the Color Splash Cube in yellow, because that is my signature color. So if you give me a choice, I'm going to pick something in yellow. Plus, the kids love it. Now, the colors that I went with are really colorful, bold, which I think young children really are drawn to. The mechanic on this, there's no foam, there's no tape, there's no grid, although Helen, that grid you showed was awesome. The mechanic on this is lacing, which is simply, and I'm sure a lot of you know this, but for those of you that are new designers on the call, I started with variegated pittosporum. And I usually do this in the vase, but I'll just do it in my hand here so that you can see it. I found a piece that had a lot of laterals, so these side shoots, and I used that as my starting point. And then my subsequent stems tangled into the laterals of the first one. And I did 3 or 4 placements like that until I created a nice tangled, what I call a web. So by the time I've got 3 or 4 stems all tangled into each other, when I go to add my single stem flowers in there, they stay exactly where I put them. The other thing I wanted to point out about this design is that I very specifically chose a repeating flower form. So of course the arrangement is in a cube, which is fun, but the arrangement itself is round, and I've gone with all round flowers because I think when you're thinking about someone who's youthful and young, they're not so jaded by life and hard. They're a little softer, and so I think round flower forms really lend themselves well to that. So you'll see I've got the hot pink roses, spray roses, purple asters, and the on-trend Sweet William flower. These are very on trend. Here, let me bring it closer to the camera. One little addition to this, I went to Target, my favorite place, and I picked up this little bag of bubble jars. How cute are these? I got 16 of them for $3, and I am adding them into my design. So I'm calling this piece Bubblicious. This is how I'm going to market it for my customers. I've got 3 of them bundled up here together, just taped to a bamboo stick. And I've got a piece of lily grass that is tied around it. Ooh, we've got a little special effects here. So the bubbles are really, really fun. You can throw a few of these in there. If there's any left over after the holiday, or even for the holidays, stick a little sticker on these bubble things and, use them as a promotional material and give them out to children when they come to your store. They're very inexpensive. It's a perfect gift to give to young children. As an add-on, wouldn't a fun little bonus be a wristlet for your young youth to wear on Valentine's Day? I made this simply on a piece of ribbon. There's no wristlet base. It gets tied to the wrist with the ribbon. The leaves are actually green felt because, we love texture. The youth in us loves the texture, and the filler is dried status. So the only thing in this that's fresh are 3 white spray roses, which can be glued in no time. So this could be all fully prepared ahead of time and just boink, put together when it gets ordered and sent out. Really, really fun for a young daughter. Okay, moving on. Sorry, any questions, Lottie? You just interrupt me. You can stop me at any time. Okay.
I'm just in love with the bubbles.
Oh, good. I know, right? I kind of want them to keep going. Okay, moving on to our next age group. This, and I should thank my friend Tim Farrell because I went into the depths of his container section at his shop. We decided for this program that we're having for you this evening, of course, you have the 2022 Valentine codified containers, which are beautiful, but perhaps you have leftover containers. Now is the time to use them. So I went into Tim's leftover section, his vintage section, and I found this spring picture from the year 2016, but it's still really beautiful. And I think it's perfect for a young adult daughter receiving a Valentine flower, and I'm calling this a flower frappuccino because I don't know anyone, including myself, I don't know any teenager that doesn't love a frappuccino. And the definition of a frappuccino is blended. So Helen talked about an ombre look. I'm doing it as well. I started with the yellow on the bottom to mimic the container, and then I've got a dark tulip, medium tulip, and light tulip fading up to the top, just as the picture does, just sort of repeating that color play there. Now I do have a little a heart pick in the back. As Helen said, anything with a heart is going to move right out. But what if you also partnered with a local coffee shop and had an add-on of a Frappuccino gift card that you could stick into your flower Frappuccino? I mean, I am pushing 40 and I would love that. So any teenage daughter certainly would as well. So that is our flower Frappuccino. And then for the older daughter, the more sophisticated, I've got the amethyst gemstone vase. I decided for this piece that I wanted to hit on the Very Perry Pantone Color of the Year that was just announced a few weeks ago. I did have a different arrangement plan, but then I just decided to embrace the lavenders and the periwinkle tones. So the gemstone vase, so beautiful and perfect for that. I created a 3-sided design here, and I've really, I have grouped my flowers instead of integrated them fully. So I've got my peonies grouped, I've got my roses grouped, some beautiful Canadian Lysianthus. When I turn it, you can really see the depth that you have between all the materials here. I did back it with a fan palm, and that's really creating a nice modern backing. So we're not, with no leather leaf in this one. I've got some eucalyptus shooting out the side, which, quick tip on that, if you're not using these strippers with your eucalyptus, I highly recommend getting a pair of these. They strip off all the bottom really quickly so that your hands don't get all so gunky. Many days have I woken myself up in the middle of the night by sleeping with eucalyptus gunky hands. So then I just have a few pieces of lily grass coming out the top. Whatever was left over from the bunch that I didn't use on the top, I folded it back on itself and created a veiling on the front here, left the front part of the grass hang out just to give a bit of a different, distinct look. And to finish, just as Helen did, I visited my ribbon drawer, and I have all kinds of ribbons from all different occasions of all different styles, and I thought this would be a great way to use some of them up. So I simply cut pieces of them, basically streamers, did one little loop, attached it to a wire, and I'm going to add that right in here, right in the front, and just let that cascade down. It's not a bow or anything too fancy, but it does have that feeling of fringe or tassels, which are so on trend right now. So those are my recommendations for gifts that you might sell to your clients and recommend for daughters. And Lottie, I forget who's next, so I'm going to throw it back to you.
Thank you so much, Renee. That's amazing. Absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Helen, I think we're over to you. You're muted, Helen. We need to unmute you again.
Good.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Oh, you back muted. Unmute yourself.
There.
Perfect. Don't
Can you
touch
hear
it.
me now?
Yes.
Okay, we're sorry. I was asked in this segment to talk about what we can do to prepare ahead, what needs to be done ahead to make our holiday successful. And I can't think of anything more important than paying attention to your online store, to your website. How many times that I get calls on the phone saying, I'm on your website and wanted to know if I could switch colors or whatever the question may be, but they're already shopping on my website, looking at what I'm offering in advance, and then calling me to maybe ask a few questions. So it is imperative that you are paying attention to your website, holiday especially. making sure that, like we were talking about earlier, like coming up with your recipes and your specials in advance, getting those and pricings downloaded on it. And eStat is pretty easy to maneuver to get those on. But if you haven't done it or you're new to this free and you don't know how, support to the web support is really wonderful, and you can call them anytime. I would suggest that you're changing your thing the end of this month in January and making sure that you have specials up, that you have your prices up, because they'll start checking prices. People will start looking on different websites and checking prices. So you should get yours up sooner than later. Plus it gets busier. You're going to be dealing with, scheduling and flowers coming in. So the sooner you get this done, the better you're going to feel, of course. Adjust your prices, and then also skinnying down your offerings on your website, because we all know that you can't make everything, that's there. So skinny it down, make sure that it's what you can handle. If it's however many specials, I think I usually do about 6 of them, and then the Teleflora specials. And I don't carry all of them, so I'll just put up the ones that I carry. And, that's super important if you need to change prices at that time because cost increases and shipping increases. That's the time to do it now. Do it soon. Then also put on there any of your add-ons. Make sure that I don't have any of my big teddy bears in yet, but your teddy bears, your candy, and I started eating this. It's really good. I love this. But your candies that you're going to be offering, I wish I carried what Jerome carries in my store, but I don't. Balloons, any of your add-on items. Maybe you carry jewelry and you want to put a few of those items on there because they look beautiful tied around a vase. So there's many ideas that you can put on handles, but make sure that you've got those on there and that they're priced. And then from that point, I would maybe start my marketing program the first week in February. And the reason is because the closer to the holiday, people are going to go to my website. They're going to know, but I want to catch them before they go to someone else's. So I want to entice them with what I am carrying. So I'm going to do email blasts, and from your POS system, you can collect all the emails that you've collected throughout the year and send out email blasts. We also do, in our statements, we do stuffers. So these go into all the statements that we send out. On our email blast, we do have similar format. So the things that I'm showing here, I'm going to show on my email blast, and so that it all coincides together, which is important. It looks, organized, and people don't have, we're trying to not have as many offerings. So having just those select few out there, and then if they want to look at the website, they can. All your information is out there as well. Something interesting that I just found out is that the Sunday before Valentine's Day is Super Bowl Sunday. So how can we expound on that? Is there some way that as florists we can cash in on that? So how about if we said, maybe on our advertisement, like this Super Bowl Sunday, bring flowers home and score a touchdown with your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other. I mean, why not? It's a big deal. It's advertised all over the place, and it's fun. It would catch somebody's attention. So you might think about that as an advertising genre to go with. I do think that this holiday, especially falling on Monday, that it's going to be spread out, that we're going to be seeing orders for Valentine's Day as early as Friday the week before, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know how many of you will be open. I know that I will be open, and then Monday. And I think even if you're not open on Sunday, it's prep day. So that's really important to get all those orders done and ready to go for delivery. But I think we're going to see it spread out. And I agree with Michael. I think it's going to be a great holiday, but it may not feel as busy because it's going to be spread out over the course of a few days and the week before. So, keep that in mind when you're purchasing. You want to get your flowers in. I probably would start, greening my containers and things like 5th, 6th, so that they're ready. I have my flowers come in starting in June, which is the week before on a Monday, and start prepping them, because what I've been told in the past by wholesalers is they get them in early and they can either sit in their coolers or they can come to your cooler. And I'd much rather have them here, or safe and conditioned, and they're soaking up water and they're beautiful and ready to be used. Greening in containers is, the same. As soon as we get those flowers in, greenery you can get in advance because it holds so well. So maybe start greening in all your containers the 5th, the 6th, so that by the 7th, when your flowers come in condition, you can start designing them. The more you can get done ahead, the better. And I realize that some of you don't have the space to put all of those, but as Joyce said, when you do have the space or the time, set up 2 or 3 or 4 or however many you can stretch out a container all at once. Do production, because there's no sense in doing one, because you're gonna sell your specials, or you sell them over and over. So make sure you're doing production and you're doing several at a time. And then really quickly too, we all get in broken flowers, and it breaks my heart when it's like so expensive. So I just wanted to show you a couple little things. Have containers ready for the broken flowers to go in. And this is just a couple little lily grass and a couple roses. And I just took the aspen and poked it through. And then all my flowers went in the same hole that stem just went through. So it's like a little, and that just got popped into that vase. How about a little, and all those broken flowers, or the ones that you can pull off the bottoms of the stems and use the whole stem in a vase arrangement. The shorter stems to something like this. I mean, maybe you could call this your lily, because there's only one white rose in it. There's all kinds of things that you can do with those broken flowers, but have these containers ready to go, because otherwise these are going to get shoved in a jar and they're going to sit there and rot on your desk, because I know I've done it. And what was my goal not to do that the last couple of years. So things like this work out really, really well. And make sure that you also are aware that a lot of the home deliveries will go out earlier in the week, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but all the schools and businesses will definitely all be on Valentine's Day. So make sure that there'll be time delivery. So make sure you have enough drivers to handle getting all those orders out to those businesses and schools. Well, Lottie, that's all I have right now. I'm back to you, and I hope that's very helpful to everybody.
Thank you, Helen. Excellent. We have somebody asking the source for that little heart hat box that you have there.
Okay, so they do carry these at some of the different wholesalers, but I honestly got this at Hobby Lobby, if you have one, or I've seen them at Target too. It's just a cardboard, and I lined it with a Mylar or a cellophane. You could use that too, and then put foam. And the foam is, just very narrow. There's not much foam in there, but very inexpensive.
Thank you, Helen. I am now going to turn it over to Joyce and some more floral gorgeousness.
Hey, okay, I do know where you can get that heart-shaped box.
Oh, good.
That I know carries them too. So there are some wholesalers out there that have it. Just really quick, I wanted just to kind of touch base. If you have questions about pricing or your business sense in your business, that the Profit-Minded Florist is a great resource for you to do. And another book that I just found is called Profit First. This is a great book. So if you're interested in making sure that your business is successful, these are 2 great books that you can look at. All right, so now we're going to do some upscaling on some designs. And I wanted to, for me, the easiest way to upscale a design is by the container. So looking at the container and then upgrading it to the next level really makes it stand out. But one of the things that you have to really pay attention to when you're upgrading is also your perceived value. So with this particular design, this is the mid-mod geometric planter, and I love this container because it's so versatile. You can do so many different things with it. But with this, I went horizontal with it instead of going vertical. So horizontal with the ruscus and the heather that brings it all the way out. One of the things too about creativity is that you have to charge more for creativity. So with this, I did some creative movements with some hearts. And so one of the ways that I did this was with Heather. And I love doing this just because I just think it's really kind of fun. And I just take two 18 gauge wires and I tape them together about, halfway through so that I have them attached. You can use aluminum wire if you wanted to. And then what you do is you just add heather to each end. And I wish I had really long, beautiful heather, but this is what I have. So this is what I have to work with. So I start on both ends and fill it in with heather and then just wrap it with bouillon. And then I'm able to bend it into the shape that I want. So you can create these beautiful little heather hearts with this. So I've got a great focus with the heather heart that you can see right here. And you can see it closer. We get it, there we go. You can see the heather look, and it really ties the heather right into it. The other ones that I have are just yarn. And I love doing this too, because you just take another 18 gauge wire. And this is just florist wire. Put a little dab of U-glue on the end of it. And some yarn. And this, again, I have tons of different yarns, but this is a great way to add a color. If you want to kind of change up the color a little bit, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Valentine's Day colors. You can change that up to add whatever color decor you want, and then add that color in the heart form. But this is where I use my power tool. So I just put this in the end of the drill, turn it on, and it spins nice and slow, and it covers the whole wire in like 3 seconds. So it's done. And then put another little dash of U-glue on the end, and then you have a beautiful little yarn heart that I use as accents all the way through. So the length of this gives it that perceived value, so it's nice and long, be beautiful, the centerpiece of the table. But then because of the expensive cost of roses, and I've used almost a dozen here, and I know that they're expensive, but I used them really short. And what I find is that the shorter the stem on the rose, the longer it's going to last for me. So I figured that this is going to have that longevity to it too, along with that creativity that we create with it, and also then that perceived value. Depending upon your price points, this could run anywhere from $100 to $150. Again, your prices depend upon all of your markups, etc. But then the roses, again, the freedoms are beautiful. These are the sweet Eskimo, and then I've got the ocean song that are tucked in there just to give us that beautiful look. So that's one. All right, so we're going to kick it up again. And I'm going to use the same container that Renee used, and this is the gemstone base. Again, it's in the everyday line. And let me just set it this way, I think is the best way so you can see it. And I want to talk a little bit about creativity. So perceived value, again, along with that creativity, is that I've got the height with the curly willow. And I talked earlier about if you're going to buy multiple products, buy them so that you can use them in different arrangements so that you can get different price points for that. So I've got my curly willow. You'll see the curly willow coming up next. But what I did for the creative part of this, which I think is just really kind of fun, is using aspidistra. And if you can see the leaf, it has kind of that tone of having hearts on it, because I wanted to pull in the color of the vase. I'm going to set this here. And all I did was take an aspidistra leaf, lay it down on a piece of cardboard, and I used, this is a wall stencil that you can use, or this is a cake stencil. So whatever, they're both hearts. And I actually used them both. I put the aspidistra leaf underneath and then sprayed it with Design Master paint. Then pull that one off and put this one on and sprayed it with a little bit of gold. And it gives me just kind of this two-tone, kind of this iridescent feel that this vase already has. And it kind of pulls that in and ties it in. So pulling that, then that decorative element that we add with the accent of the aspidistra just kind of levels it up with that creative tone that you can see. So that's kind of a nice coloring enhancement that you can do for your foliages. That's really durable. I know aspidistra leaves are really great, but it also just gives you that availability of just having some fun with it and being creative with it. And that's what's cool. So I used hydrangea at the very base. As you can see, it pulls that color palette down. Hydrangea, I always use alum with hydrangea. So go to the grocery store and you cut your stem, dip it in the alum, put it in whatever container you have. We'll talk about foam in just a minute with that. But just put it in and it holds up so well so that you could do it ahead of time. Again, just using my roses a little bit closer down into my focal area, that creates just this beautiful beautiful look. Again, about a dozen roses with the beautiful ocean song at the top, and then pulling it down with the reds, freedoms all the way down to the bottom with that. The other thing that we see is that this price point, again, because we upgraded the container, we've upgraded some creativity with that, you're probably looking between $200 and $250 just for the products that you have. But again, it comes down to perceived value that you have. All right, we're going to kick it up one more time. This is my tile floor here. There we go. I don't know if I'm going to get this one all in here. So again, you probably can't even see me now. But again, with this in particular, what we have is I've upgraded the container, and this is a beautiful accent decor container. This is the Empress vase. So upgrading can be as simple as just giving them just an amazing container or having to pick out an amazing container. But let me talk about the mechanics on this in particular. So this is a foam-based design. So what I've done is I filled it full of foam, put water in it, of course, with floral food so that it holds up, and then curly willow. So I've got tall curly willow that I inserted into both sides, pulled it up and bound it together at the very top, and then pulled it down so it creates this heart shape through that. But you're going to have a tremendous amount of tension with this. So I've used a wire, pulled it down, and used wood picks, and I've also used strapping tape to make sure that that's secure, because if it lets go, it might hurt somebody, but we don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure that it's going to stay put. So make sure your mechanics are essential and that it's going to hold through. In the inside of my curly willow heart, I also have another just willow heart. As you can see, that's right behind the gladiolas in this, that then emphasizes again that heart shape that we have. Our static line is coming out from the sides that we see with the beautiful ruscus. Again, I find that ruscus holds up so well and just gives you such great emphasis when it comes to line movement that it's just a great product to use, and that it's really fun just to have it, just have fun with it and just enjoy that so much. Again, with curly or with hydrangea. Now this is in foam, so I have hydrangea down at the very base. And what I do with foam is I always give it my hydrangea, along with the alum on the end of the stem, a hole that goes down to the water level. So I always use with foam is an apple core, and just go in, pull out a piece of foam. You've got a nice hole that goes right down to your water source in your vase. So then your hydrangea are very, very happy. There's nothing clogging the stems. The alum makes it nice and crisp, and that's what we love about that. You have many options when it comes to linear flowers. I wanted amaryllis to put into this to create that beautiful line movement that I wanted coming up out of the top. But of course, they didn't come. So what we have, of course, are gladiolas. So think about how you can change out different products that's going to give you that emphasis. Bringing our eye down to our focal area with our beautiful glads, which repeats the white from the bottom. So that repetition is important in your design. But then grouping the beautiful freedoms together, pulling in some more of the heather that we had from other designs that bring it all together. So don't be afraid to make really expensive designs. This could run anywhere from $400 to $500, again, depending upon your markup. And again, you can't judge someone by what they're wearing, how much money they have to spend. So you never know, but by having these available and just saying, somebody wouldn't think twice about spending $400 or $500 on an arrangement just because they love it. So make sure that you don't assume and just be creative and do some beautiful designs. All right, Lottie.
Thank you, Joyce. That's amazing, incredible. Who wouldn't love to receive that? I mean, the impact of receiving that, please, amazing. So now we're going to go over to Helen. Helen, over to you. We need to ask you to unmute yourself as well.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Unmuted.
Hi. Thank you.
Hi. So the last piece that I'm going to do, I was asked to do one of who do I love, what client do I love? Well, first I love my husband very much, but my client or who I would make a beautiful arrangement for. And I really thought about this, and I'm kind of going outside the box. I love my loyal business customers who get weekly orders every every week, and holiday arrangement for when they have. I love them. So the person that I would like to send to is my business client. And I think it would be a really great thing to acknowledge that they do this great thing for your business, especially the tough times that we have. Being able to count on that every week was wonderful to know I had income coming in with that. So I would like to send these arrangements to my business, and maybe you don't have to do something as extravagant as what I'm going to show you. But if you figure that they're going to spend so much every week, maybe you could enhance that a little bit. And just my businesses will let me put my own business card on there. So it's sitting in their lobby or the reception area, and everybody that goes by sees my name. So it's kind of a win-win. So if I make it a little more special, and I'm getting my cost out of my flowers of what I usually charge them, I'm really not losing anything, and I'm getting a ton in advertising. So I want to show you this first, and then I'll show you the finished product. So this right here is a piece of ruscus, and I've just taken the Oasis, and it doesn't matter what color or what kind, and I've just wound it through my Italian ruscus and placed that in here. So it's bendable, so you can bend it any degree of curve that you want. And I did want a curve in it. And I'm going to take my roses, and this could be carnations. It doesn't have to be roses. And what I want to show you is this ruscus is kind of a template for my I'm going to just follow this all the way down. And it's really not that, it's very fast, and it's not a lot of thinking. Once you get this ruscus in there, it's really simple to follow. So let me show you the finished product. And we did have this on our website last year for Valentine's Day. I hope you like it. And we sold them very well. Again, this is, like Joyce said, a custom piece. You're going to charge a little bit more if you're doing it for a client, for labor, because it's special and nobody else can do this but you. So make sure that you are charging a little bit more labor for it. You don't necessarily have to use the heart in there if you don't want to. I do this thing also for sympathy work. We have a lot of times just added an angel in here or one of the garden plants. It's really lovely. People love it. I can't find my phone. There we go. So my business clients, I'm a ton of advertising. It's really showy. Again, this could be carnations. It does not have to be roses. And I got to thinking, well, let me show you one more thing really quick. I wasn't supposed to do this, but I couldn't stop myself. So this mixture of 6 roses and 6 carnations, and I did it kind of on an asymmetrical styling, again with a red base. I just think it looks a lot showier, and then just putting the Medellino, the red Medellino in there just to give it more volume. So this could also be a business gift that would sit in the lobby. It's going to be long lasting. It's in water, very minimal. I love using the Aurelia leaves, the Fatsia leaves, because they're super durable, and this one only took 3 leaves. One that I did only took 3 leaves. So with 1 ruscus, so it's really all that expensive, and there's not a lot of insertions, which is going to save a ton of time. So that's a Lottie.
Wow, thank you, Helen. What a beautiful treatment of a dozen red roses. Renee, we are going to go over to you, and I know you have some really super cute alternate Valentine's Day designs.
Yes, thank you, Lottie. I think a lot of you who are on this call maybe already follow me and maybe already know the answer to this question. If you don't, you can follow me on Instagram and see lots of pictures of my dogs. If you ask me who do I love or who loves me, of course, you know, my husband, who's helping me on the other side of the camera tonight blowing bubbles, he's up there. But I have 3 little dogs and I am crazy about them, and they are equally crazy about me. We have a really really good thing going. So when we were planning this program, we started talking about the relationship that Teleflora has with Chewy now. And if you're not familiar with it, I did send a flyer over for Lottie to drop into the box for you all to see tonight. But basically, you know, Chewy is like Amazon for pet owners. I'm going to say dogs, but this is really for all pet owners. It's like Amazon for pet owners, and you can order all kinds of things from there, and you can set up auto shipments, say for food or medication. But if a customer maybe cancels an auto ship of food, Chewy might reach out and ask why. And if the cancellation has happened because that pet has crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, Chewy will then send flowers to that customer in memory of their lost pet. And I just think that is like the best thing ever. And I'm so excited that Teleflora has partnered with Chewy for this. So this flyer, you might have already received it in your email, but Teleflora has already come up with a few arrangements that are suggested. They'll come over starting with the words pet friendly. And there is also, they did some homework for us. They figured out what flowers we should use and what flowers we should not use in these pet friendly arrangements. So I wanted to create an arrangement inspired by my dogs. So I found a very, I don't want to say, we're going to call it vintage container in Tim's stash. And it actually is a container within a container. It's very old Teleflora. He wasn't sure what year it was. So if anyone knows what year this container came out, you can drop it in the box and you win the prize of having the best memory. But the bottom opens up. Oh, I'm playing with fire by doing this. But the bottom opens up and you can fill it with fruit slices, candy, dog bones, whatever you'd like. And then you snap it closed again. And then, of course, I have an arrangement to put in it. If you don't happen to have this container, you can easily do the same thing with a larger cylinder vase, and then maybe a smaller cylinder vase inside of it, or this is just a plastic liner from a different Teleflora container. You just stick that in there. You get your big jug of milk bones that you happen to have on hand for all the dogs that come into your store. You just add those in, spread them around, and before you know it, you'll have the same effect. Now, I do have an arrangement to show you for this, and I like to name all of my arrangements. I think I forgot to say this daughter arrangement, I'm calling it She's a Gem. So you can use that. This one I'm calling the Betty, in honor of Betty White's passing and her love of animals, and everyone's celebrating her. So I'm celebrating her and my dogs with this arrangement. I've got a beautiful fresh arrangement here. It's got that sort of, I call it, this is probably a terrible name, but I'm going to let you in on what I call it. I call this the boat. I take yoga, and there's a terrible pose in yoga that makes you hold your core, and it grabs your abs, and it makes me shiver and shake. And my body kind of looks like this when I do the boat pose. So that's why I call it that. But I've got this beautiful arrangement using a lot of the flowers on the preferred flower list, the Dusty Miller, the peach carnations, spray roses. I've got some magnolia in here. I thought the brown tones of the magnolia picked up the milk bones really well. I've got a touch of yellow oncidium, and let's see what else, some leucadendron, some peach hypericum. For the sophisticated dog owners, I'm going to go ahead and level it up with the addition of one protea. So I've got this beautiful protea here, which is going to sit in the center of our design and just be the perfect focal. Just like that. So I would be beyond thrilled to receive this design, to enjoy it, and then to share the goodies inside with my friends. Now, because I'm what the kids call extra, just like Helen, I did a little extra piece too. So pretend that this is all filled with milk bones. So on trend, right now are dried flowers. So I did a similar arrangement to coordinate with the milk bones, only in dried flowers. And I'm going to drop that down in. This is something, of course, that you can have out in your store all the time. I've even got some dried pincushion protea here that I'm going to add in just for a little bit more of a pop of color to go with the bones. And they're going to be a great focal point as well. So that is my alternate arrangement to show who I love or who loves me. And I think we have a special guest that just wants to say hello real quick. This is... Okay, this is my Poppy, and she's got her little Valentine kerchief on, and she just wanted to say thank you for letting her mommy be in this program.
So cute, Renee.
She's also sniffing around for the milk bones. She smelled me pouring them.
And hopefully she knows to send you an arrangement for Valentine's Day as well.
I think she
order.
That's right.
Thank you, Renee. It's so cute. Joyce, we're going to turn it over to you for another alternate Valentine's design.
Okay, so during the pandemic, one of the things that I have to kind of do a shout out to Garrett because he's my camera guy today too. But well, he collected all of these puzzles, and I'm trying to think, what am I going to do? Because he only wants to do it once. What are we going to do with all of these puzzle pieces? So I happened to be in an art gallery not too long ago, and I saw this art piece done with puzzle pieces. And I thought, oh, I could do this. This is really cool. So I've just taken, this is just a wooden heart, and all I did was glue puzzle pieces. It doesn't matter what they are, because we're going to end up painting it, but you glue these on with a glue gun, and you just cover the whole heart that you want, and then you can create a focal point in your design. So what I have is a beautiful heart. So my puzzle pieces are all tied in. Now I have a container. This happens to be, this is an old Teleflor container, and I don't know what year it's from either. This is, the design itself was called the Harvest Jewel Centerpiece. I don't know if anybody knows what year that was from, but I had this container that happens to have browns and blues, and I thought, okay, so let's tie all this together. So within my red heart, because they're all glued on, I just took a few pieces and just added a little bit of blue to them and glued those on to pull that all together to kind of give it a uniqueness within the puzzle pieces itself. But I've got this beautiful framing going on with the aspidistra coming up and hooking in and kind of following that line movement of the heart that's already created. And again, I call this my space hog because this is the emphasis of the design, and it takes up a lot of space, and I don't have to do a whole lot more to the design because of that. Hydrangeas down in the very center. Again, my horizontal line movement with my aspidistra coming through. And then some beautiful protea that are just tucked in, the pincushion protea that kind of enhance that color palette that we have. But again, what I love about this heart is the textures that it creates. And I see these selling at the art gallery for quite a bit of money. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we as artists can do that too. So this is really kind of fun. You could give this to your grandparents. It could be anybody that loves puzzles. It could be anybody that just loves something creative. So here's my idea for an alternate design for someone that you love.
Thank you, Joyce. Well, that comes to the end of our program. Some amazing, gorgeous designs, everybody. We've had some amazing questions, and thank you so much for inputting everything. We love you. We hope that we've given you some great information, some inspiration, some staying away from the dozen red roses. And I want to thank Renee, Joyce, and Helen. Your advice is amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate the update on the industry. And also thank you to Maria and our Spanish-speaking viewers today. I just wanted to say Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, and we hope to see you on the very next one. Thank you. You guys have got this, and we'll be thinking about you. Take care. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. Bye.